Hi everyone, welcome to my video. So amazingly, Michaels put their Winsor & Newton designer gouache on sale for 60% off. So I took advantage of that and got a couple of tubes. So you see I have alizarin crimson, primary blue, primary yellow, and yellow ochre. You see the Reeves white here because later on in this video you'll see me make a painting with this gouache, and they were sold out of the white, so I had to mix it up with the Reeves gouache that I already have. So I wanted to get a feel for this gouache because I had never tried it before. I know it's a higher quality brand, and I've only worked with Reeves Gouache before, so I went ahead and I swatched them out, I mixed them up. I had a lot of fun doing this. I tried to mix them up in as many ways as possible. And I chose these colors because I figured they were really nice primary colors. I got the yellow ochre for more earthy tones. I like diluted, dim colors that aren't so bright a lot of the times, but I also still love the vibrancy of the bright primary yellow just because that's my favorite color. So I did a pretty opaque swatch of each color, and then I did a watered down swatch to see how they look. And what I really love about this gouache is it's so creamy and consistent. I feel like the colors don't do anything you don't expect. They kind of stick to what they are and stay how they are as you need them and as you mix them, and even if you add a lot of water, they're still pretty smooth and consistent. So here I'm mixing the secondary colors. And now I'm mixing the secondary colors with the yellow ochre. By the way, I am using a Canson XL watercolor sketchbook for these swatches. I was using a Strathmore mixed media sketchbook before without realizing that the surface had vellum on it, so it was pushing back a lot of the water that I put onto the page, so I couldn't handle it anymore considering my great interest in watercolor and gouache lately, so I went ahead and went back to Canson. And the palette that I'm using, I believe, is by Strathmore. It's really nice. I don't like the waste, like I'd rather use a ceramic palette or something like that, but I had to buy this for school, so I figured I would just go ahead and keep it. Here I did a slower gradient of the colors to see what I could get out of it. I only got the footage for the yellow ochre gradient. For some reason, maybe the camera died or something, I didn't get the gradient on video for the primary yellow, but you can check out the full swatch page on my Instagram. It's the same as my YouTube at @tealcorby. So this is the sketch of the painting that I wanted to do bigger with this new gouache. Please excuse the wobbling, my camera is attached to my table, which isn't the most stable. So for the painting, I'm using Canson XL watercolor paper. So far this has been my favorite. I haven't tried many watercolor papers, but I love this brand. And I did find my Prismacolor Col-Erase pencil, the only one that I owned, so I took great advantage of that. I started out with a sketch a few days ago after I made the little thumbnail. I researched some images on Pinterest to help me out with like the hand and the trees and the kind of foggy look that I wanted to try to incorporate. When I first made this painting, it was just as a part of Autumn Chew's 100-day challenge, where you have a color palette each day and you make an image out of that color palette. And I've been trying to do this because I don't really know what colors to work with or how to work with colors, and one of my biggest problems is contrast. And I feel like in this painting everything sort of worked. I don't love the color palette, so I don't think it's something that I'll work with again, but everything just came together really nicely. And you can find Autumn Chew as Art Chew on YouTube and Instagram. This is an older Reeves Gouache that I have, and I'm just trying to really use it as I can because I can't seem to find any affordable white gouache, and I'm just not quite able to break my wallet yet. So here I'm trying to mix the colors as best as I can to match the colors I used in the thumbnail. And the thumbnail was done in watercolor, not gouache, using Daler Rowney half pans. So I was really excited to find out that I could actually mix pretty on point colors for this painting. I might be able to find the names of the colors that I used. I used the website Coolers.co to generate color palettes, and they generate 5 colors in the color palette. And I started out doing Art Chew's challenge with those 5 colors, and it got to be really stressful. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like there were too many colors to figure out and do something with. So I started to narrow down the colors that Coolers generated for me to about 3 colors out of the palette. I think with the premium version you can minimize, like you can choose the number of colors that you get. Okay, so the colors that I used from Coolers were, because I'm signing in on this computer, it's doing crazy stuff. It's acting like I'm new and I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so I chose dark purple, light salmon, and middle blue green. And the other 2 colors that they did generate for me were medium ruby and Granny Smith apple, which I omitted because I felt like I was going to make everything really muddy, and I wanted to avoid that. I feel like I'm learning color, and having too many different colors might really jeopardize my learning process. So I started out with a wash of the purple that I mixed, and it felt really weird doing a wash. I did wet on wet, but I think I started out with too much pigment on the top left, which made like a nice thing, but in the end it wasn't consistent across the whole background, so I couldn't really, it became distracting. But it was a lot of fun playing with wet on wet with this gouache. I feel like it moves a lot more than the Reeves does. I also noticed that it picks up a lot. Well, it picks up very easily, which is nice for blending and smoothing things out. So now I'm going in with the middle green color to paint the hand. I started out with a wash, and then I started to add in darker colors. I've heard a lot of artists on YouTube mention how they'll start with the main wash, which is usually like kind of like the mid-tone of the painting, and then add in their darks, and then finally add in their lights to work on contrast. And that's something I've been really struggling with lately. I feel like I'll start to add in darks, and then all of a sudden everything is dark, and then I'll try to add in highlights, and then to me it doesn't look as smooth as it should, or as I guess realistic. I like making gradients, and I feel like I haven't mastered that in gouache yet, but I am working on it. So after feeling like I managed to get a nice gradient with the darks, I went in with some lighter colors, lighter shades of the middle green. And I kind of went back and forth between the light and the really dark to really maximize the contrast that I needed. Then I started to paint in the trees. I tried to make a variety of shapes, like some with the branches angled down and out, some with the branches kind of all over the place, some with branches angled up, and I tried to match the color to the branch direction, just to make it interesting. So I wanted to make a foggy effect, which I feel like I maybe kind of got. So I went with the Reeves white gouache over some of the areas where I wanted there to be a feeling of fog. I don't know if it's just because it's Reeves and it's a lower quality brand, but it didn't quite get the effect that I wanted. And this is also when I discovered that the Winsor & Newton gouache reactivates very easily. So I had to be careful. And I felt like there wasn't as much contrast in the hand, so I went in with some darker middle green. And I actually ended up outlining the hand a bit with a mix of the purple and the middle green, because I felt like things were getting lost and muddy. And I feel like it really helped to bring things out. Maybe one day I'll be able to paint things without having to put an outline. But for now, that's okay. And so here's the final piece. Thank you for stopping by and watching my video. Can't wait to see you next time. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.